You're listening to Critical Mass Radio. Now it's our turn. The Razor's Edge Show. If the truth hurts, prepare for pain.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Razor's Edge Show, and a very sad week for us all. For those of you who aren't aware, everyone in our circle is well aware. For those listening further afield, we lost one of our friends and co-hosts from Critical Mass Radio. George from the Prisoner broadcast died on Monday evening, very unexpectedly. We were all with him over the weekend when we had the Critical Mass Radio conference, which, you know, was great. For our first effort, none of us had done anything like that before, and we all came together and put on something that, you know, people thought was really good. We were all really excited about it. No one more than George put, you know, effort into it, especially when we were setting up on the day with our new PA system, and we were all floundering until George come along and put it all together for us, because he was very talented in that field with music and audio equipment and all. We'll miss him for that. We'll miss him for all of it, because he was a friend to us all. And, you know, when you're in the awakened state, as opposed to being sheep-like, you realise that your true friends are few and far between, aren't they? You realise that people you considered friends in the past were just acquaintances, really. You didn't have much in common with them. When you think about it, you might have liked the same football team, you might have gone to the same pub, you might have worked together, but that's where it ended, really. But when you, like I say, when you reach the awakened stages, you find true friends, don't you? You find people that, it's funnily enough, Rob Bollocks, he gave a talk on Saturday, and he quoted C.S. Lewis. This was on Saturday. He says, the quote was, "What draws people to be friends is that they see the same truth. They share it." And that's true, isn't it? You know, when you share truth, when you share a truth that it seems that 95% of the population just can't see, you know, that gives you that comradeship, doesn't it? It gives you that friendship. And George was the type of bloke that would do anything for you, you know. And there's not many people in life you can say that, is there? That you could call someone up or Skype them or whatever, text them, whatever, and ask them to do something, and then you know that you could rely on them to do it. And George was that type of chap. And yeah, we're all gutted. It's really taken the wind out of our sails, especially after the elation of Saturday. Like I say, we were on a high, we were on a roll, and then all of a sudden to be dealt this body blow, because that's what it is, you know, and it really does sober you up and make you realise that this is existence. It's all too fleeting, isn't it? And you never know when it's going to end. We're here for that purpose. George had obviously served his purpose, hadn't he? Because he was taken from us. He'd done his bit, and he'll do his bit from whichever other side of the veil he's on now, pushing us, helping us, which I know he will. He'll be nudging us, looking from upon high, saying, "No, don't do it that way, do it this way," you know. What a sense. And he'd laugh at that, because he had the best sense of humour. He was the archetypal Scouser for me. You know, we laugh at him. We have a joke with Manchester and Liverpool. We have this light-hearted banter. But George was the archetypal Scouser. Great sense of humour. But, you know, when push comes to shove, he got things done. I've just got a bit of an audio clip for you here, which for me was George at his best. Because he started off, you know, on Critical Mass Radio when he's first doing his shows, same as all of us, never done anything like it before, floundering, you know, but realising that we, you know, there was an opportunity here to get the word out. You know, Paul was doing a lot of hard work, so we wanted to help him, you know, even though we had no experience whatsoever. George was in that boat. you could tell he'd never done anything like it before, but he persevered, and he went from being, like a show that, to be honest, early doors was a bit rough and ready, but he turned it round into, for me, the show I always podcasted first, and one I always listened to first, and that's not saying anything else about any of the other hosts. For me, the Prisoner broadcast was the one I had to listen to first. It was just, he had a way about him, and he had a way of, when he had guests on, he had a way of getting stuff out of them without actually having to say much himself. And when he did make contributions, they were fantastic. And the breadth of knowledge of the guy, even though to speak to him, and in a typical Scouser jokey way, you think, you wouldn't think he had them depths. But I tell you what, that fella did. He had real depth of knowledge about the tyranny we face. And, he was willing to put his head above the parapet and try and waken people up. And this is a little clip from a show he and I did together with Philip from the North East, which was a Razor's Edge special on the occult Beatles. But it's just a couple of minutes of audio of George and the depth of knowledge he had just on spec, just on off the cuff about this subject. See you in a couple of minutes, chaps.
I think as well, Alex, just on, I've just had a little point, is that with the drugs thing, is that they gave the music stars, the pop stars, I don't like using that expression, but the stars of that decade, godlike status. Hendrix, Brian Jones in the Stones, Jim Morrison, etc. And then they became victims of the drug culture, and they glorified it. These people, if you look at it, like I know some of my nephews and some friends still go to France to visit Jim Morrison's grave and treat him as a hero. He was a victim of a drug culture.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No, what a horrible way to die so young.
Well, John Lennon, wasn't he? He was a heavy heroin addict.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there are some aspects of what he had to say that, the people will get on board with. Any normal, decent person would get on with a lot of what John Lennon had to say. He spoke derisively, mockingly of Christianity and Christians, some of the things, and we all sort of have that general feeling that religion, is a control mechanism, and we can get on board with that. But I think you made the point, George, that he was also an admirer of Aleister Crowley.
Oh yeah,
and Crowley's photo is on the Sgt. Pepper album, not once, but twice.
And it wasn't supposed to be there twice originally.
Exactly.
And I don't know whether or the listeners are aware of the fact that Lennon actually they were supposed to be heroes of the band and people associated with the band. The funeral party, if you like, as I would refer to it for Paul McCartney. I think for the benefit. Sorry, Phil. I think for the benefit of the listeners, Alex, if they would, I don't know, you would have probably mentioned this later on in the show, but the two videos that you sent to me, one cranberry sauce and the other one the winged beetle. Yeah. I think if they watch them two videos, about 3 hours total, I think 2.5 hours, but there is just 1 5 or 6 second crippled inside. Just go. Sorry, Alex. Just go back to the Sgt. Pepper cover and the hero aspect of it. That they were basically putting forward the band heroes from when they were younger and that period of time that they were at. And the one that John Lennon wanted on the cover of the Sgt. Pepper album was Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, I believe so.
And they just said there is no way that we'd be able to put his picture. And then you've got to think, even now, you wouldn't get away with it. But then in 1967, you're only like 20 years after the end of the Second World War, and his suggestion was to put Hitler. I don't know whether there was a bit of sarcasm or twisted wit with Lennon, or he was just serious about it. Yeah, but I agree with you. He was definitely heavily into or influenced, laughing in the way McCartney's horrible way is. but you slow the film down, and you can see the way his eyes move, and it's like, when you catch a liar, and they're looking around to see if I convince people here, and to me, it was too much, Alex. No, I thought to myself,
Well, at the time, when that interview took place, the idea there was you sent me the link of those two Italians that were doing evidence based on computer-enhanced forensic techniques, and they come up with some astonishing evidence for the fact that they just weren't the same people. The original Paul McCartney and this fella, and they did high precision measurements of Paul McCartney's skull from various photos of his face, both before and after, and they just don't link. They just don't match at all.
What we would call biometrics today.
Yeah.
The distance between his pupils. His
eyes changed colour for one.
Yeah.
It went from being a brown-eyed lad to now he's got these. Do your eyes change colour as you get older? I don't know, but he had brown eyes when he was young, and now he's got these sort of green eyes. So.
Mine have gone red. I think that's the dream.
Going black if you carry on.
There's so much.
That was George all over, wasn't it? Eh? Brilliant. Yeah. Like I say, the few and far between, aren't they, friends we meet and have hold now. So we got to hold on to each other, haven't we, chaps, and make sure our community grows. Become this family. Do it in George's memory. It's, we've all, over the last couple of days, we've all thought, what's the bleeding point? Just when we think we're starting to, get a couple of steps forward, we're taking them back again, aren't we? But, onwards and upwards. It's not what George would have wanted. He wouldn't have wanted us to, just pack it in and say, this, I've had enough, let's go back to the Matrix. He wouldn't have wanted that. And, like I say, he was a friend and a comrade, and a great loss to us all. How we're going to fill that gap, I don't know, but someone's got to step forward, haven't they? Someone from the ranks has got to step into George's shoes and, take things forward. Put your hand up, people. I've only do it for George. I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll play a quick tune, and then we'll get stuck into what the Razor's Edge show is really all about, isn't it? Which is me. Even though, I've had a good think about changing the format of the show, make it a bit more listener friendly for new people listening in. But we'll see. We'll see if that's worked, because I've not had a lot of time to think about that sort of thing. But we'll have a quick tune, and this one's for you, George. Right, let's get on with it. Welcome to the Razor's Edge show. As Lisa said, you might get the odd expletive, even though I'm trying to cut back. It's like giving up smoking, though. It's not very easy. But anyway, please be aware that the views and opinions expressed on this show should not be taken as representative of Critical Mass Radio or the other hosts who broadcast upon it. I believe that free speech is a fundamental freedom and not a privilege. I intend to express that freedom to its maximum. If you don't believe in free speech and expression, then switch off. If you believe that there should be parameters on freedom of speech, then by all means, switch off. If you believe that free speech shouldn't be for everyone, then off you fuck. But if, like me, you believe that everyone should have their say, no matter how distasteful we find them views, then you've come to the right place. The Razor's Edge show. And if you want to get in touch, you can do. Again, not had any emails, but that's my own fault for messing about, which, like I said, 3 in a row now. So I'm on the right path, aren't I? Keep them going now. You can contact me at razorsedge@criticalmassradio.co.uk. That's razorsedge@criticalmassradio.co.uk. Incidentally, if you're listening via Blog Talk or in the future on a podcast that you've downloaded off various torrent sites for now, and you don't pay for them anyway, do you? But you'll be there looking for other stuff, won't you? Films and pictures of ladies with the tops off and things like that, and you come across the Razor's Edge show, me with a foul mouth mank. But come along to criticalmassradio.co.uk, where you will find a chat facility where everyone who's involved with Critical Mass Radio, fans, hosts, listeners, people who just come along and, join in the fun. Help yourself. It's all there. It's basically people being nice to each other, but every now and then you'll get a comment about the sort of things I'm going on about, disagreeing or agreeing. Feel free. I love it. If you've got anything to say, get in there. I'll dip in every now and then, see if there's anything relevant that you've got to say, and I'll comment upon it. But, I've got quite a bit to get through. Obviously, because of the circumstances, It's stuff that I've just found over the last couple of days. My head's not really been on it, as I suppose all the hosts on Critical Mass Radio are the same. You know, it's hard to concentrate when we've lost one of our friends. But yeah, I put some stuff together which has been getting on my nerves, to use an American colloquialism. Britain's poorest families, you know, as if it's not bad enough already. You know, we haven't got a pot to piss in. We're taxed everywhere we look. Wages either freezing or going down, or, you know, petrol goes up by the day, diesel goes up by the day, food goes up by the day. Everything goes up and up. Wages either are static or going down. If you've got a wage, if you're on benefits, God knows how you manage. And lots of people aren't doing, are they? And as a result, as we discussed last week, suicide rates are through the roof. Families breaking up. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. But here we go. Yeah, Britain's poorest families are facing 30% cut to their annual income by 2017 as government yet again slashes spending. The bastards. Public service cuts will drain Britain's poorest families of 30% of their income. This is from the TUC. You know, I won't trust them as far as to throw a small family saloon, but, you know, they obviously have to come out with certain facts and figures to justify their existence. But, you know, some of this makes sense to me. This comes ahead of the £10 billion of welfare savings to be announced in autumn statements by the Tories and these Liberal cohorts. Separate studies show 6 million people in working households are living in poverty. Admittedly, it's relative poverty compared to some places in the world. You know, the fact that you're living on beans on toast as opposed to nothing is probably luxury, but that's the way the powers that be want it. They want us, you know, reduced to serfdom, reduced to near slavery. Obviously, they've got to feed us. They don't want us just dying off just yet, not until they, you know, bring in the master plan for the culling. But if too many of us are dying of malnutrition, etc., you know, there'd be riots in the streets, wouldn't there? Hopefully. Although I wouldn't hold my breath. Yeah, it said reductions in benefits and family tax credits combined with continuing cuts to welfare will cause considerable financial harm for millions of families. Tell us something we don't know. The dire predictions come as Chancellor George Osborne prepares to deliver his autumn statement on December the 5th, in which he is expected to detail a further £10 billion of welfare savings over the next 5 years. This makes me piss. This really gets on my nerves. We bail, and I keep saying this, chaps, I know I say it week in, week out, but everything, we bailed out the banks, we bailed out the corrupt banks, putting ourselves, this generation, our children and their grandchildren in debt enslavement to pay them off, to pay off their greed, to pay off their corruption. Instead of jailing them, instead of hanging them, we bail them out. Instead of doing what Iceland did and told them to sod off, in fact, if anything, you're going in Nick, what have we done? Capitulated. We voted for this shower of charlatans that have put us on the poverty line. Where family, you know, a mother can't feed her kids. She can't afford to turn the heating on. She has to feed her kids beans on toast because that's all they can afford. It's funny, you know, at the conference, I wasn't even going to talk about this, you know, before George passed away. But I think the salutary lesson I've learned from when George passed away is there's no boundaries now. There's no perimeters now. There's no parameters on what we can talk about. If we don't agree with something, if we say something's wrong, even within our own movement, within their own people we're mixing with, then we've got to say it. The time for prevaricating is finished, as far as I'm concerned. There's a fella speaking on Saturday. Brilliant speakers, most of them. In fact, I enjoyed this particular speaker up until he became a monarchist, blatantly. You know, don't blame the monarchy. They've just been forced into doing this, forced to go along with the agenda. You know, it's not the monarchy's fault. If anything, they're on our side and all this. And I couldn't bite my lip. And trust me, in the mouthy one, you know, I have to say something first and, you know, spoil the atmosphere of the conference a bit. But I wasn't alone, not by a long shot. I might have been the first one to open my mouth, but there's quite a few, you know, afterwards said, I'm sorry, mate, you're talking bollocks. As if there was some sort of halcyon days, you know, under when monarchy had more power or influence, as if they'd never, had power and influence. But according to this speaker, that influence has been usurped by the powers that be, by the banksters, by the government, and poor old monarchy was forced to sit back. My ass. It went on about Victorian times as if that was some sort of halcyon time, The monarchy then were despised under Victoria. When they used to hiss at her in the street when she went in the street, she couldn't do walkabouts. So people despised that bitch, and no wonder the way people were treated in Victorian times. Poverty and hunger and the way working conditions, and I don't have to elaborate. I've gone on about this in the past, haven't I, about the working conditions children had to work in mills and blokes had to work in mines for a pittance with no working rights, and we've had to fight tooth and nail. And this is what we're returning to now. This is with no workers' rights. They've all been taken away. All your rights, all your employment rights, all your benefits are being cut. Any services that we've paid in for and expect to receive, these bastards are cutting to bail out the banksters, pay off the banksters, borrowing off the Bank of England, a private bank, at massive interest to bail out corrupt banks. Am I the only one bleeding seeing this? My Christ, wake up, people. The figures revealed that by 2016 to 17, the cumulative costs of public services for the poorest 10% of households will be £3,995 in cash terms, or 31.7% of their average annual income. That's if you're lucky to have enough to have a job and buy. And if we get through to 2016, 17, still under the yoke of these bastards, then forget it. Forget it. You'll have nothing. All you'll have is the crumbs off these bastards' table. No rights. No benefits. Your wages won't be worth a wank. And if you do get a bit uppity, if you do try and do something about it, what they do, sack you, bring in Johnny Foreigner. That's what they're doing now, people. That's what immigration's all about. Undercutting wages, breaking the backs of the unions. And I'm not anti-immigration, don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-immigrant, you know that. We've talked about this in the past, I just know it's a control matrix that these bastards use. It's a control mechanism. I know it's a thing on the news today about they're building houses, aren't they, on Greenbelt? They've got to put another 10% of use of 10% of the Greenbelt to build houses. It'll stimulate the economy. Never once on the BBC, never once was it mentioned the reason why we need those houses. Because of unfettered immigration, because they've just lowered the borders. Come on in. Why? Because they knew what was happening. They know exactly what's happening. When they want this federal Europe, they knew that Britain was the thorn in the side when it comes to Europe. We're the most un-European nation in Europe, aren't we? Opinion poll after opinion poll has said we don't want to be part of it. So unfettered immigration was a way of diluting Britain, if you like, diluting a sense of national identity. And immigrants coming into Britain, and like I say, I'm not anti-immigrant. I don't want to send anyone back. I'd love it when people can have free travel around the world wherever they want to. I just don't want it to be an agenda of the powers that be for whatever nefarious purposes they've got. And the immigrants are being used as pawns in this. They're being used and abused just as much as the population of these islands. Immigrants, by their very nature, are going to vote for the people that give them whatever. If they get benefits off the Labour government, then they'll vote Labour, won't they? And Labour want to be part of this European federal superstate. So that's why Labour, when in government, just lowered all barriers to immigration. And that's why now we have to destroy Greenbelt in this 10% of the Greenbelt in this country, which for all you ecologists, all you green people out there, all you save the environment, you should be saying the same things as I'm saying here. But you don't, because of this politically correct shite we've had forced upon us where we dare not talk about these things. Gloves are off with me. Couldn't care less. Couldn't care less what they throw at us. Truth's truth. You know, when the people of this country can't even feed themselves, when they can't afford to put their heating on, and 70,000 old people a year are dying in the winter, when there aren't any jobs, and the jobs that are there are so low paid that to be near enough useless, and yet we still have unfettered immigration. There's an agenda, people. There's an agenda going on. And that agenda is a European federal superstate. That's how they get it. It says even under the most optimistic forecast, the Chancellor will miss his target for debt to fall between 2015 and 2016. The debt can't fall. It doesn't make sense. Income tax in this country does not even service the national debt. Income tax. So they can only get this back by indirect taxes and by cutting anything that we've managed to get. We are the calves to be slaughtered because the cupboard's bare, people. Osborne's ready to delay a planned 3p increase in fuel duty after protest from Tory backbenchers. Thank you. Oh, thanks very much. What's up? The Bentley, eh? Getting a bit dear to run the Bentley. They couldn't care less about us. They couldn't give a toss. It's all about them, people. It's not about us. It's just one big charade. Right, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll have another quick tune, and I'll try and get stuck into this mountain of... it's all the same stuff, you know. I try to be, you know, a bit diverse, but it's... oh, there is a few things. I've got stuff on there. The Levinson. Don't know if you saw that today. Free speech. Trying to suppress the media, but... I noticed one of their main attacks is an attack on the internet by Levinson. There was the thing about UKIP, wasn't there? Them kids that had their taken away because their foster parents were in UKIP. I've got some stuff on the amount of money that the Eurocrats get in Brussels following on from that. Unbelievable, the money they're on. No wonder they don't want any cuts in the European budget, I tell you. Yeah, and this is all down to a few bloodline families, you know, and I keep saying it, we keep pointing the fingers at politicians, etc., but they are middle management at best. And the real bastards that are pulling the strings, well, we've got to start pointing the finger at them, haven't we? I tell you what, our next stage, after we build our foundations, which, you know, we're doing, I know we've had a major back step this week, but in the near future, we've got to start targeting these bleeders, and I mean individually. We've got to start putting the spotlight on them, because that's what they don't like, you know, the spotlight being on them. We've got to find out where they live. Hey, find out where they live. Start organising pickets at the house. Point out what they're actually doing. People like Soros, well, I'd be hard to get a grip of him, or, well, his real name, Georgi Schwarz, bloodline, there you go. But, like I say, we'll come back to that after a bit of a tune. Where are we? Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it a bit lighter now because we've been through the sad stuff. Yeah, old Lord Justice Levinson, and he just completed his secret report on the news media. Basically, we just want to destroy free speech, freedom of the press, what's little left of it. I'm no fan of the press myself, don't get me wrong. I've had experience in the past that wasn't a lot of fun, to be honest. Cost me my job. It all come out in the wash, you know, got a few quid out of them and all that. But yeah, so I'm no fan of them. But does that mean I want them muzzled? No. Because, you know, if someone's got something to say and it's incorrect, then you can pull them up afterwards, can't you? You can't preempt what people are going to say, can you? That's like pre-crime, isn't it? As far as I'm concerned, Levinson, you know, bloodline to a T, isn't he? Proper part of the establishment. It's got Cameron in a bit of a pickle, hasn't it? Because where does he go? He'll be the first sort of prime minister to openly clamp down on freedom of speech and freedom of press. We all know it goes on, and it's been a sort of step-by-step the way they've done it. You know, when you think you've got free speech, when you think you've got free expression, when you think you've got freedom of association, we've got nothing of the sort at all. Who you associate with, you're tied with the same brush. You know, if you say something that's out of kilter with the zeitgeist of the 21st century, you know, your door's being kicked in, isn't it? We know it's not there, freedom of speech, but, you know, when it's out in the open and the media are playing their games, it's a charade. But that still doesn't mean that we don't play this problem reaction solution game that they've got coming. You know, that the press, to some extent, has ousted some of these sick bleeders. It's hard, isn't it? Because we know the bigger picture, and we know that when some of these bleeders have been ousted, it's either because they're dead, so they're acting as a smokescreen, or they're still alive, but they've done something that's upset the powers that be. So they've broken the circle, haven't they? So they've been cast to the wolves. So we know, we can see the bigger picture, but, you know, even when they're playing out this charade, we've still got to be the ones that say, no, free speech, full stop. No parameters on it. No, sorry. You've either got free speech or you haven't. I keep harking back to one of my favourite Chinese sayings, you know, chains are chains no matter their length. That's true. You know, you've either got total freedom or you haven't. There's no halfway house. But it's just interesting, isn't it? You know, who are the people that have been sort of raked up to support the demands for the total removal of freedom of speech in this country, in this nation? It made me laugh. That one-trick pony, him, Hugh Grant. Hey, Hugh Grant. Have you ever seen him in any film where he's not the same character? That fop, upper-class twit, in Bullingdon Club bastard, half-wit, nice but dim. That's what he is, isn't he? Hey, Hugh Grant, he makes me. But he's one of them because he got caught with that brass in America, didn't he? That black woman caught in a can. She spilled the beans on him. God, she was ugly. You know, he must have a few quid on his hip, Hugh Grant. He's been, you know, like I say, he's a one-trick pony, but he's been in a few top films, hasn't he? What was that when he was in? I don't know, my girlfriend always used to go... Oh, it's got to me. I've something about weddings and all that kind of... But anyway, where was I? Yeah, so you've got him. He's wants the privacy laws changed after the images of him arrested in America, like I say, going with his brass, pig ugly, published in the UK. That was a few years back. So you've got him coming out of the woodwork. J.K. Rowling, the fact that she made a £1 million donation at the Labour Party, and she was rewarded by the Labour Party adding her book to a compulsory reading list that brought in a lot more than the £1 million she forked out to Labour. So her type obviously don't want the press infringing on her freedoms, do they? Cow pushing a satanic crap in her books. Have you ever read that tripe? How does that get to be popular? Am I missing something? Harry Potter, Harry Bastard, a load of crap. And yet the kids love it, don't they? Or are they told that they should love it? You know, with its satanic undercurrents. Oh, have you read the latest Harry Potter? Queuing up for it. Unbelievable. She's laughing all the way to the bank. I wonder what rituals she's taken place to get that far, eh? She's not got there by talent, has she? Or has she? And I'm missing the point. Anyway, then we've got MPs themselves, haven't you? Chris Bryant. Well, I suppose he's an open homosexual, isn't he? By the by, but, you know, a nest of them in Parliament, by, you know, and the reports are anything to go by. But He's reported, the Daily Mail is saying that the relatives of murder victims have been pursued and their lawyers have been stalked by private investigators. Medical and bank details have been obtained by deception. Young women have been chased down dark alleyways. Phones have been hacked. Police officers bribed. All for a personal interest story or an intimate photo that would sell papers. This would be the intimate photo of himself. If you've not even seen it, I've seen it on the internet. In his dirty underpants, texting, "I'd love a long, good fuck," excuse the vernacular. It makes you vomit, doesn't it? But that's a reality. That's the type. Obviously, these type of people are obviously going to use their power and influence to stop the truth coming about and their sordid carrying on. Hey, goes without saying. Cyril Smith, 10 years ago, apparently, someone reported him on the Rochdale Council, reported to the police. 10 years ago, nothing. Covered up. Where were the press then? So even though I am defending, the press to do what they want or to dig as how they have to get a story, as long as it's the truth and as long as they're putting out the truth, I have no problem with it. It's when the press are just used to distort and lie and manipulate. So we see this charade being played out when we know what the eventual outcome will be. Obviously, what's going to happen here, there's going to be complete curtailment of freedom of the press. And with it, the caveat, the internet goes with it. And that's their real target here, people, the internet. Forget the mainstream media, forget newspapers. People don't read newspapers. I know it's a dying medium. The internet is what they're really scared of. And this is what this is all about. Hey, this is what this is all about. Nothing to do with allowing the Sun to publish pictures of some liberal homosexual MP in his underpants texting filth to one of his own ilk. No, nothing to do with that, people. We're seeing through it, haven't we? Right. Tell you what, we'll have another quick song and I'll get back into this. I don't want to play too much music tonight, but like I say, it's been a hard week and I've got to build myself up. I've got to get myself back in the mode and right. I'm on orders to play this song. Actually, it's not one of my one I'd put in my playlist, but someone was listening to me shows, which I've kept on podcast, and she wasn't she wasn't very happy. God, women, they're never happy, are they? Right, here we go. Got found out, chaps. Making jokes and such like. So that was the payoff. Hey, she got in tonight. Got in from a long day at work. I said, tea. I made the tea. Took me ages, but I got there in the end. She says, "Great. What is it? What are we having?" I said, Tetley's. 2 sugars in yours, is it? Right. You've obviously seen this thing about UKIP and these foster parents in Rotherham. You see, to me, well, for those of you who haven't heard about it, obviously I keep forgetting that we've got people in America and all over the globe that are listening. What's happened is Rotherham Council have decided, in their wisdom, to remove the foster children from a couple because the couple were members of UKIP, United Kingdom Independence Party, which is an anti-European federal superstate party. Plus they've got a raft of other policies, obviously, but the main thrust is getting Britain out of the European Union. Staff from Rotherham Council told the couple that UKIP had racist policies and their membership of it made them unsuitable carers. Absolute bollocks. Absolute bollocks. I made a point of having a look at UKIP's manifesto for the last European elections. Yes, they want curbs on immigration, but so do the vast majority of people. And it's not a racist thing, it's just people seeing through the scam and realising that mass immigration is not a good thing for any nation, to be honest. So that seems fairly sensible to me. There's no talk of sending people back. You know, nothing like that you get from the extreme right or anything. I didn't see anything like that. But what's happening here is they're pushing the boundaries, aren't they? In the behind the scenes, they're testing the water, seeing what they can get away with. You know, we might think this is just one case in Rotherham, some obscure backwater in Yorkshire. Is Yorkshire? Of course it is, yeah. Some backwater in Yorkshire where some, you know, politically correct drones have decided that they found out a couple are in UKIP, let's take the kids out. No. There's so much more to this. The powers that be are testing the water. We've already seen what they've got away with so far, and I've made points in the past on my show where they did it with them idiots that were in the EDL. She was in the EDL, so they took her kids off her. There was no big outcry then, was there? It made it onto the internet, etc. And you have the likes of me saying things about it, that even though we disagree with the EDL and the idiots that are in it, we can't let the precedent be set where your beliefs or your political opinions decide whether you can be a good parent or not. We can't let that precedent be set. So they've tested the water, haven't they? They've tested it with, oh, you know, we've got away with it with them. Let's push it a bit further now. We'll go with UKIP. Then there's been a bit of a backlash. So they know there's a boundary now. So they'll move it again. But the thing is, we've got to say no at all stages when they're trying to do things like this. Because it'll be us next. How, and I've said it in the past and I'll say it again, how long will it be before they come and remove the children of free men? Or people who are standing up against the council tax fraud, or standing up against these statutes and acts that enslave us through parking tickets and speeding and any other way they can extort money out of us. How long before they take our children off us? Or people in the truth movement, or people that believe that 9/11 was a monstrous fraud and an inside job, or that the 7/7 London bombings was completely fabricated and controlled by MI6. Nothing to do with Muslims. How long before they try and take our children off us for saying things like that? I mean, you've just made me laugh. I mean, it's a Labour council anyway, Rotherham. But you've got Miliband. Once he realises the game's up, you know, and the people won't wear this, or they won't do for the time being, it suddenly comes out, doesn't it? Or mealy mouth. No, well, there's obviously been a mistake. We can't allow this sort of thing. UKIP, you know. People who are in UKIP shouldn't have the children taken off them. You know, they try and get on the right side of things then, don't they? But it's these bleeders that are testing the water, believe you me. Nobody should have the children taken off them for a belief. Because if the children are being harmed because of a belief, that's a different kettle of fish. You know, if they're practicing Satanists who decide that they'll introduce their children into, you know, some sort of ritual, then to me that's harming children. Yeah, fair dues, come on. Can't have that sort of thing. But the fact that you believe that Britain should not be part of a federal European superstate, no chance, no chance. Like I say, don't believe the hype. They're testing the water, people, and we should avoid anything of this nature. We should always be the first to speak out, always be the first to campaign, no matter who it is on whatever political spectrum or whatever political belief. Doesn't matter, far left, far right, middle, whatever. When everybody's freedom of speech is being curtailed, when everyone's freedom of association is being curtailed, when everyone's children are being taken off them, the truth movement should be at the forefront of defending their rights, or their freedoms, never mind rights, freedoms. And the ultimate freedom is to have a family free from the clutches of state intervention. And these tossers who love nothing more to and have our children in care so they can become the victims of this scum in Parliament, these paedophiles, Muslim groomers. What another charade. The real groomers are in Parliament, aren't they, obviously, and above. They're the real filth. They allowed that fat bastard in Rochdale, Cyril Smith, to get away with it as long as he did. Hey, right on our doorstep. Hey, imagine some poor child being at mercy of him. Size of that bleeder. Doesn't bear thinking about. Doesn't bear thinking about. Another thing caught my eye. With the Cameron again, putting up the fuss with Europe. trying to get a freeze on the amount of payments Britain makes to the EU. Nothing about a cut, nothing about a reduction, nothing about sod off. No, he just wants a freeze. He's flying the flag, isn't he? He just wants a freeze. No one, but then again, you've got all the Eurocrats absolutely up in arms. No, they don't want it frozen. They want it up and up, and you can see why when you look into it. EU officials work a basic 37.5 hours a week. 3,000 of them are on more than Cameron earns. Hey? They receive 18 public holidays, including Europe Day, and are also entitled to a 16% bonus if they work outside their country of origin. It comes after it was revealed that the EU officials quaffed £120 bottles of wine as they discussed austerity measures. You couldn't make that up, could you? Well, you could make it up. But you wouldn't believe it if you were making it up, would you? Hey, this is 120 quid for a bottle of wine while they're discussing putting us on the breadline. And it might sound humorous, but what's the reality of that? As I'll go back to it, not being able to put shoes on your kids' feet, having to eat beans on toast because that's all you can afford, while these get £120 bottles of wine down the neck while they discuss doing this to us. Tony Blair has joined the fight to increase the amount of money that we put into Europe. There's a surprise. Official figures show that 3,325 EU officials, 7% of the total workforce. This isn't just EU members of parliament. This is people just work there. You know, paper shufflers. 7% of the total workforce take home more than Cameron's prime ministerial salary of £142,000 a year. These totals do not include the 27 EU commissioners, politicians appointed from each of the member states, who earn up to £219,000 each, plus allowances. No wonder the Kinnock sold her soul. Hey, she was one of them, wasn't she? Kinnock's wife. God shit, what a turncoat, that bitch. Was it Glenda? What was her name? Glenda Kinnock, was it? Oh. No wonder, talk about a gravy train. On top of the huge pay package, Eurocrats benefit from a range of perks, including educational allowances for children, their children, 18 days off a year for public holidays. The current EU's administration budget of €56 billion, according to Cameron, he said there should be a cut, or there should be a negotiated cut of 10 billion. From €56 billion a year, and it's not even audited. There's been no audited figures for the money that goes into the European Union, because it's used to propagandise the European Union, to give to the BBC so they can spout their lies and stop any truth coming out about the European lies and European federal superstate. BBC, don't pay your licence because it's funded by this. We pay to cut our own throats. That's the reality, isn't it? We're paying to cut our own throats. Obviously, you're going to get the poorer countries. Without a doubt, will want more money going in, won't they? Because without saying. And this sham charade being put up by Cameron, there's just that. There's nothing's going to change. There won't be any cut. And if they don't do it openly, they'll do it covertly, won't they? Frightening, absolutely frightening. Like I say, we're paying to cut our own throats, and we've got a shower of charlatan paedophile bastards in that nest of vipers just cutting our throats. I'll say it again, that's exactly what they're doing. We're on a sticky wicket, people, and the sooner we wake up to it, the better. But it's not just that den of iniquity over the water, is it? In Brussels. These lot we got in Westminster. We know it's a club, don't we? We know it's just a club. I said this last week. It's a club to fleece us. You're there, you get in there. Some of them might have, aspirations to do a bit of good, but as soon as they're in there, they're told the full script. Get it while you can because it won't last. Feather your nest and then fuck off. Seen here. Backbench MPs have gone on more than £1.5 million worth of trips with all expenses paid by foreign governments. Pressure groups and companies in little over 2 years have paid for them. Several MPs have spent months out of the country on foreign trips, sometimes while Parliament is actually sitting, while many of those funding the visits have vested interest in lobbying the MPs. Well, there's a surprise. After the trips, a significant number of MPs have made speeches in the House of Commons supporting the political position of the governments and countries that they have visited. Analysis revealed that 242 MPs have declared fact-finding missions and visits worth an average of £6,500 to countries including Sri Lanka, China and former Soviet states since the last election. The highest claiming MPs include the former Labour Foreign Secretary David Miliband, who since losing the Labour leadership to his brother has gone on 14 foreign trips costing £47,600 and taking up 47 days, mainly to give speeches and attend conferences. Good number if you can get it. The foreign trips taken by Mr Miliband, who declared in the aftermath of the leadership defeat that South Shields comes first, that's a joke, has helped to earn him £400,000 in addition to his MP salary. Fleecing us. 1 in 5 Conservative backbench MPs have taken trips to Israel and Palestine since 2010, the majority paid for by pro-Israeli lobbying groups. In total, 79 MPs have been funded to visit the region at an approximate cost to their hosts of more than £130,000. And where are they getting it from? America. All goes full circle, doesn't it? The Yanks fund Israel. They buy off MPs in this country. Saudi Arabia paid £36,000 to take 12 MPs on a 4-day trip to Riyadh. MPs have also accepted £41,000 worth of trips to Azerbaijan. MPs have been on 36 visits to China and Hong Kong, 23 visits to India and 34 visits to the USA since the general election, but only 1 MP has accepted a trip to Afghanistan and only 2 MPs have visited Belgium. Well, there's a thing. Riyadh or Afghanistan? Know what you're for. 6 MPs have done trips to Australia. There's a thing. 5 to Brazil and 3 to the Cayman Islands. The furore over Nadine Dorries' trip to Queensland to participate in the television show I'm a Celebrity has thrown a spotlight on MPs taking time away from their constituencies and Parliament. I've heard of it. I know that there's been some sort of carry on with this programme. I wouldn't even bring myself to watch it. I don't know about you people, but the fact that is she an MP and she's in I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here eating frogs and cockroaches or whatever at our expense? Is that what we're paying for, is it? So when she can quit, she gets thrown out of Parliament, she can become a celebrity because she ate a frog. Mark Hendrick, the Preston Labour MP who chairs the All-Party China Group, has spent over 4 months out of Britain since 2010, accepting 7 foreign trips costing £43,211, including a month learning Mandarin in Beijing. Barry Gardner, the MP for Brent North, has accepted £52,071 in foreign trips since the election, spending a total of 73 days out of the country as Vice President of Globe International, an international globe group representing parliamentarians. Andrew Rosendale, the Conservative MP for Romford, has accepted 25,000 worth of trips to the Cayman Islands, the Turks and the Caicos Islands, Switzerland, Taiwan and Uzbekistan, among others. The MPs defended the trip, saying they always tried to travel when Parliament was not sitting, and the trips were an important way of fact-finding and building UK relationships abroad. Who are you trying to kid, you shower of bastards? Freebies, holidays. They're not going to be staying in a tent, are they? It's going to be 5-star all the way, lobster thermidor on a muffin. All the 123 bottles of wine they can get down their necks. Life of bleeding Riley, and there's us. Go back to it again. There's us. Beans on toast for the kids. Can't afford new school shoes. Hey, and that's now. Imagine what it'll be like in 4 or 5 years' time. The Conservative MP Bob Blackman, who was elected to Parliament as the MP for suburban Harrow East in 2010, has accepted 2 trips to the value of £6,600 to Azerbaijan, paid for by the European Azerbaijan Society. The European Azerbaijan Society. What's that? Paid for. That'll be paid. That'll be funded by the European Union. Not only are they straightening bananas. Hey, got this nonsense. Hey, I give up. This is just, and I've got reams of this. Just more and more of the same old shower of parasites. But the one that sticks out for me is them that go to Israel, isn't it? Hey, like I say, made the point earlier on. This is just money being laundered in effect, isn't it? Comes in from America, supposedly. Well, what is it for? To fund the bandit state of Israel, but what it's being used for, to use as propaganda, to buy off foreign dignitaries, foreign MPs, so that they do Israel's bidding in their nation, so that they turn a blind eye to the Palestinians being massacred, to the Gaza Strip being reduced to rubble. And we pay for this. This is what we fund them with. Every time you do a day's graft, this is what we're funding people. Every time you go to the shops and you have to pay VAT, this is what we're funding. Every time you pay council tax, this is what we're funding. Good work if you can get it. Right. But like I say, what we're doing, we're pointing at middle management again, aren't we? When we talk about these things. Because they're the ones that, the ones we can see. But the real interesting ones are the ones behind the scenes, aren't they? And, as the truth movement, these are the real people we should be digging into. These are the real people we should be turning a spotlight on. Because it's all very well pointing at the puppet, but it's the puppet master we should be aiming for. And one of them, of course, is, according to the Financial Times, ranking of European finance ministers, the most Zionist, apparently, is Wolfgang Schäuble, German finance minister, who's been described as a spider in the middle of a web and has been ranked the #1 European Union proponent, whatever that means. The one pulling the most strings, I suppose. Again, bloodline. And that is not a euphemism, people. When I'm talking about bloodlines, I'm not saying, because I know that we get that knee-jerk reaction, don't we? Jews, he's talking about Jews. No, I'm not. I'm talking about these bloodline families that hijacked Judaism a long time ago. Flag of convenience. That's all it is. The first thing they point to, it's a shield they use to stop criticism, to stop that spotlight being put upon them. Because they can shout, can't they, anti-Semite, anti-Semite, as soon as you say, hey, come on. We're not falling for it anymore, are we? So yeah, he's bloodline, and that's what I mean when I say he's bloodline, because way back, way beyond Judaism. This is just something they hijacked in the 10th century or whatever, these Ashkenazis. I feel like David Icke in a way, because every time he writes a book or he goes to do one of these conferences, he has to reiterate everything, every point he's made in the past. And it's a point I have to keep reiterating. When we point the finger at these bleeders who just happen to be of the same ilk, doesn't mean we're blaming ordinary Jewish people who have been usurped. Judaism has been usurped. Ordinary Jewish people are as much a victim of these bastards as the rest of us, of whatever faith, whatever creed, whatever colour, whatever religion you want to follow. We're all in the same boat. We're just cattle for these bleeders. But anyway, he's come to my attention, this fella, Wolfgang Schäuble. He made a statement, I am convinced that the regulatory monopoly of the old-fashioned nation-state is over. Therefore, we have to find a new model for global governance. And we all know what that is, don't we? Hey? He was someone tried to shoot him not so long ago, assassinated him, confined him to a wheelchair. I'm not saying that in a funny sort of way, but shows that there are people out there that know what this bastard's up to, and sooner or later it will be coming down to a straight fight between us and them. Hopefully it'll be the peaceful way, won't it, where they'll abdicate and accept their punishment, or there'll be like a guerrilla warfare against these bleeders, because they'll have brought down their iron fist upon us. They'll have put the shackles on. They'll have removed our right to freedom of speech. They'll have closed down the internet. And the only options open to us to fight these bleeders is a guerrilla warfare. Not an avenue I want to take. Not something I'm prepared for. But some people will. And the first shots were obviously fired by someone who felt passionately enough that and knew about Schaubel that they shot him. Again, I've got to make the point. I mean, you look into the background of this fella. He's basically he's a tireless worker for Israel. Basically, he's a tireless worker for Zionism. His comments on Muslim immigrants, disgusting. He said Jews have a particular gene, and Muslim immigrants to Europe would not integrate into European society. So what's he saying there? To me, there's the racism. He's openly saying we have a particular gene and we don't want it diluted. Passionate advocate of reparations for Holocaust victims, which on the sound of it, on the face of it, great. I think, if your family survived the Holocaust, or remnants of it, you lost parents, you lost cousins, you lost brothers, you lost sisters. I don't think there's anything particularly wrong in reparations. But, from what started off as a relatively small number who can get reparations from the German government, it's gone to, there's like 500,000 now, individuals. Don't forget how far back the war was, people. Ended 1945, we're now in 2012, and yet there are now 500,000 people receiving constant reparations as a direct result of people like this pulling the strings and getting that money fed. So where's that money going to? What's it going to finance? It's a scam. You'd think over this period of time the amount of people getting reparations would be declining. It wouldn't be going up. I say it's some sort of industry. Wolfgang Schwalbe behind all this. No, it's about if he was just an advocate for Jewish rights, or even support of the bandit state of Israel, then I might vehemently disagree with his stance, disagree with him. But he's using his influence in the European Union, and he is the number one in the web. From all accounts, this is the Financial Times saying it. He's the one that pulls the most strings, and yet he's using those strings to promote the bandit state of Israel, to get reparations for people who are obviously undeserving of those reparations. It's become a scam, a financial scam. Finger needs to be pointed, spotlight needs to be put on him. When they come up with this anti-Semitic crap, then we treat it with the contempt it deserves, because them days are gone. We haven't got the time left, have we? We'll be about to face total enslavement of peoples of this world. And the sooner we wake up to their scams and their lies and their tricks they play on us, the better. Another one come to my attention. How long have we got left? Half an hour. Blimey. Another one. George Soros. You all know him, don't you? George Soros. Another major player. Real name, Grigory Schwartz. Bloodline again. He's known as the man who broke the Bank of England. He's got to be one of the world's most, to me, He comes, you know, likes to portray himself as some sort of bon vivant, whatever they call them. You know, bit of a raconteur. Does a lot of good. He likes to, you know, that's the image he likes to give off. Convicted for insider trading, 1989, fined $2.9 million. He earned his nickname as the man who broke the Bank of England when he sold short more than 10 billion in Great British pounds that cost our country 3.4 billion to devalue the pound and withdraw from the European exchange rate mechanism. Black Wednesday won it in 1992. He was Chancellor. Him looked like a badger at Lamont. Actually, in a way, it worked out well for us, didn't it? In a roundabout sort of way. That we got out when we did. Otherwise, we would be further down the road than we are now. We'd have been in the euro for definite. So his corruption, you know, in a way. Short selling. You can't do it on your own, can you? So there'd have been a consortium. He paid the price, obviously. Remember at the time? Norman Lamont said before the devaluation that he would borrow nearly 15 billion to defend sterling. Soros said at the time we were amused because that was about how much we wanted to sell. Who would they borrow that 15 billion off? Bank of England, private bank. We were scammed. And you look at the period, 1989. This was the time they were getting rid of Thatcher and the Tories. Some of them, no time for Tories, but some of them weren't playing the game with it. Even some of them must have had a conscience, even not totally controlled, and they could see what was coming, and a lot of them had to go. At the time, Malaysia's Prime Minister, Mahathir Mohamad, said Soros almost destroyed the economies of Thailand and Malaysia in 1997. He also implied that Soros was orchestrating the crash as part of a conspiracy to punish anti-Semitic remarks made by Mahathir. And again, this is say anti-Semitic. What he's saying is, yes, this is a conspiracy, and yes, it's the same type of people that are pulling the strings. Mohammed, Malaysia's Prime Minister at the time, might have been a bit more outspoken than perhaps we would be, but that doesn't, deny the truth of the matter as he saw it and as we see it. He said at the time, his actual quote from 1997, we do not want to say that this is a plot by the Jews, but in reality it is a Jew who has triggered the currency plunge, and coincidentally Soros is a Jew. No, that's his flag of convenience, like I said before. That's who they've hijacked. That's who the flag they hide behind. Again, the stuff Soros funds different political groups throughout Europe that are pro-European seem to find funding from Soros. Groups that are anti-European suddenly find all sorts of dirty tricks being played upon them by money being given to anti-groups funded by Soros. There's a group in Greece at the minute, Golden Dawn, fascists, I believe. Again, vehemently anti-European, vehemently anti-immigration. Soros is spending a fortune to fund anti-opposition groups to Golden Dawn. We apparently have been feeding people in soup kitchens, helping people who have been made homeless. So it makes you wonder about. I'll have to look into Golden Dawn a bit more. But it seems to me that a group that are feeding people that haven't any money or finding places to stay for people who are homeless can't be all bad. Do we believe the media hype? Do we look into these things ourselves, eh? George Soros, I'll finish with this quote on him. George Soros said in 2009, I'm also very concerned about my own role because the new anti-Semitism holds that Jews rule the world. As an unintended consequence of my actions, I also contribute to that image. He knows the script, doesn't he? He's telling us there what the script is. Eh? Anyone who points the fingers at the bloodlines, at the ruling elite, is automatically an anti-Semite because they've created that shield, and he knows it. As an unintended consequence of my actions, I also contribute to that image. In other words, I'm a bloodline, I'm a bastard, and I don't want to be pointed out by the likes of that idiot on the Razor's Edge show. Right, tell you what brought it home to me this week, a very sad week, and the point I made earlier is about we want to be building our community, don't we? Building our family of people of like minds who can see what's coming, and we're trying to organise accordingly and network accordingly and basically get to know people we can rely on. Someone, like I say, with George, we lost this week, someone we could rely on, and that's a big body blow. What's brought this home to me, I don't know if you lot saw it, was Black Friday in America. Black Friday apparently is the day after Thanksgiving in America. It's something the Americans haven't never really took much notice of it. Big day for them, a bit like our Christmas Day, isn't it, where they have turkey and all that. And the family, it's supposed to, in the past, I suppose, a big family thing, wasn't it, Thanksgiving in America? And the day after, they have like the sales on in all the big stores and supermarkets or whatever, ridiculously cut down prices, causes mayhem, or has done. There's videos on YouTube showing, people acting like animals to get to these bags, to queuing up for hours to buy cheap foreign manufactured tat at knockdown prices, because they're the same as us, the Americans, sold everything off, sold all their industry off. They don't manufacture anymore, they just sell each other stuff. Exactly the same as us, a deliberate plan, just to turn us into a service nations. That's all we are. But that's an aside. I just saw this, the way, it's a thin veneer civilization, isn't it, or society. We can kid ourselves, can't we, that we're all loving human beings. Given our chance, we'd all rather just live in peace and harmony. But the fact is, the way we live now, the constructs we've had put upon us, we see things like this, Black Friday, where people are literally fighting and shooting each other. A couple of examples of actually killing people to buy this crap made abroad, which in effect is killing them, because it's then the jobs that the Americans once had making that stuff has gone abroad anyway, to China or the Far East or wherever. Unbelievable. And it's like I say, it's a very thin veneer. Two people run down in Washington to get to the front of the queue in the car. Someone pulls a gun in Texas to get to the front of the queue. Shoppers fed up a queue and just smashed the doors down at Urban Outfitters, apparently. All sorts of examples of people being robbed as soon as they come out of the shop of the goods they've bought. But it just shows you, doesn't it? Napoleon said, didn't he? 2 meals away from revolution, 2 meals away from the end of civilized society, in my eyes. Could you imagine what the masses would be like if everything was put a stop to within one day? Their television was removed, their electricity and gas were removed, access to food. Imagine what people would be like. Would we all be living in these communities where we try and help each other out, or would we just return to an animal-like status? I'm pessimistic about it, people. I know what we're like. I know what. But we're a minority, aren't we? We can't kid ourselves. We're a very small minority. A lot of our youth have become feral, especially in this country. Working class youth now, latchkey kids. We've all seen them, haven't we? Not the majority, I wouldn't say, but there's a sizable minority. And the way they behave, the way they terrorise old people, and the way they damage property or whatever, people's belongings, and steal, and they bully and they abuse. Just expand that. and we'll see the reality of something, like this. And the powers that be know exactly what they're doing when they break down society, when they break down the way we live, when they take away our values, when they take away our identity, when they take away our contact with each other, when they turn us into these drones who just sit in our little boxes watching television instead of interacting, instead of being socialised. They know what they're doing. They want us turning on each other. And this is just prime examples. Another thing that stuck for me a few months back was, and it's just, like I said, this isn't just a Western problem. It's not just a free market capitalist country like Britain or America where these sort of things happen. I was watching, I think, about Egypt during the Arab, Spring uprisings, and there was a big demonstration near Cairo, and American reporter, attractive woman, was there reporting on events. Her and two cameramen apparently. The camera broke down for some reason, turned off, and the mob just separated the woman from the two cameramen and dragged her off, and she was sexually assaulted and raped in front of everyone. Nobody lifted a finger to help. And she said it wasn't just one or two doing it. She said there was literally the whole mob did it. They were all pulling her hair and sexually abusing her. And she thought she was going to die. It took another woman to save her. One woman hadn't stood up, and shielded her with her own body, she would have been dead. She said that. And this was, supposedly an Arab Spring, a movement for freedom. Shows you it's a very, very, very thin veneer civilization. And this is what they've done to us. And when I see things like this, the events of Black Friday, where it's just fighting over tat to get a cheap deal on a bleeding mobile phone or a top so you can go out, and you're willing to punch someone for that. That's what we're dealing with. We're not just dealing with these power elites. When push comes to shove, we're going to have to deal with our own, aren't we? It's frightening. It is absolutely frightening, terrifying, the thought of what we're going to have to come up against. When they pull the plug. Like I say, at the minute, they're testing the water, aren't they? Seeing what they can get away with. When the shit does eventually hit the fan. I'm a bit pessimistic. I really am, about my fellow human beings. Not the people I mix with, immediately. But then again, we find each other, don't we? But we all know the vast swathes out there, people who are not on our wavelength, who George used the term, I remember saying to me, he says, they're not the same as us. And he didn't mean that in a genetic way, he just said in a mental state, they are not the same as us. And we all know it, people. Let's face the truth. Let's forget all this arty-farty, spiritualist, sit on our knees, sit cross-legged, meditating, and everything will come out in the wash. Open your eyes and live in the real world. Like I say, I'm not optimistic about it. But that's what we're here for, isn't it? We're here to, the odds are insurmountable. The odds are massively against us. They're stacked against us. On the face of it, we can roll up in a ball and go, it's too much. It is too much, this. And when we get dealt body blows, like I said, when we lose one of our comrades, when we lose one of our friends who was an inspiration to us, and, you'd rather have them by your side than against you, wouldn't you? And you think, blimey, we need all the people we can get. When we're losing those people, yeah, it can seem like a dark cloud, and it's not going to be easy to lift that dark cloud, is it, people? Especially when you see things like this Black Friday and the things I saw in Egypt recently, when it really, really, you lose all faith in human nature. But then again, like I say, it's difficult because we know that deep down people aren't like this. I mean, you're not born like that, are you? You only become like that because of the result of what the machinations of what these bastards do. They've taken away the beauty from humanity, haven't they? They've taken away the love, haven't they? You know, as decent human beings, we love nothing better than to help our fellow human being, or to give rather than to receive. You get so much more pleasure in giving, don't you, than receiving, if you're a decent human being, helping your fellow man. But that's been taken away by this power elite over the hundreds of years they've controlled us. They've taken that out of us. It's as if they've removed something from us. Step by step, bit by bit. It's our job to put it back, isn't it? First we start with ourselves, and then we spread to our immediate families, and then we spread to our friends, you know, and we become the community that, and we set the example. That's where the hope lies, as far as I'm concerned. I don't see another way. I don't see a way of stockpiling arms and, you know, preparing for an armed revolution. It might come to that. I'd rather it didn't. Because like I say, I'm not preparing for that. People are, obviously. People have got that mentality. I think there's only one winner, to be honest, if we do that. So yeah, the odds are insurmountable and they are frightening. But that's just reality, isn't it? Right, how much time have we got left? Not very long at all. I'll tell you what, we'll have another quick tune, and then I've got one more thing to finish up on, and that'll be it for the night. Before I finish up, there's just one thing that really gets on my nerves. Another money laundering scam, foreign aid. Now, like I say, on the face of it, seems like a good thing, doesn't it? You know, as a nation, a supposedly wealthy nation, we know that it's not. It's haves and have-nots, but you know, we should donate some of that wealth to countries that are a lot poorer and needy. And on the face of it, yes, that makes sense, doesn't it? But the reality is, it's money laundering. It's a scam. One example came to my eyes. South Africa, the rainbow nation, rape capital of the world. You know, apartheid, load of bollocks, obviously, but all it's been replaced with is corporate fascism, hasn't it? That's it. It was the corporations that were behind the dismantling of apartheid, in cahoots with, obviously, well-meaning people. But if it was left to the well-meaning people, we'd still have apartheid. It was corporate fascism that got rid of it because they wanted to run, obviously, the diamonds and the gold in South Africa and the rest of its mineral wealth. That's what it was about. And South Africa, as a nation, has just been reduced to a tip, a corrupt tip. Savage, feral, disgusting tip. And that's the reality. You know, you can play it up as much as you want. You know, oh, well, it's better than apartheid. Is it? Is it? Are the lesser of two evils? At least people were fed under that bleeding, stinking regime. At least it wasn't the rape capital of the world under that stinking regime. Makes me piss. Here we go. UK gives £19 million aid to South Africa. Its president spent £17.5 million on his palace. It's a nation racked by poverty where 13 million people survive on less than £1 a day and 2 million have no access to a toilet. Yet as his people struggle in squalor, South African President Jacob Zuma has sparked outrage by spending £17.5 million to upgrade his rural family home. Lavish works which include the construction of 31 new houses, an underground bunker, accessed by lifts and a helipad. And it'll cost almost as much as the £19 British taxpayers sent to South Africa in annual aid. That's every year they get that off us. Not a penny of it going to the bleeding, starving people, or the people with no shoes on their feet. All going to finance these bastards. The costly upgrade to Zuma's once humble home in the village of Naklanda includes AstroTurf sports fields, tennis courts, a gymnasium, state-of-the-art security systems, including fingerprint-controlled access pads. There's a thing. Nearby roads have benefited from a further £40 million of improvements. When African journalists revealed the astronomical cost of the work, Zuma's ministers turned on the whistleblowers, saying that revealing the details of top-secret documents was illegal. He also received a controversial $1.2 million in spousal support for his wives. Despite calling on fellow politicians to tighten their belts. He pays only £560 on the tribally owned land in Zululand Hills where his mansion sits. Unbelievable. Again, money laundering to corrupt states, you know, that dance to the tune played by Soros and his ilk. Makes me sick. That's all it is. One big scam. We're living in one big scam. Right, I've had enough. It's time to wrap up, folks. It's been a hard night. It's not been easy to do this. Like I say, when we're grieving like we are, and it is, it's a great loss. I consider George a friend, someone I respected. We all did. And it is a great loss out of our lives. I don't know when the funeral is, probably either late this week or early next week, I would have thought. We don't know yet. But everyone will know as and when. My thoughts go out to his family and his son. He had a son, didn't he? Young son. Yeah, really sad. I played this for Paul Hickson a couple of weeks ago. That was another friend we lost. Another loss to our movement, a loss to as a friend, personally. It's hard to take, losing two friends in that short space. But I hope they've gone on to a better place, and like I say, they're using any subtle powers of persuasion they have on that next level to nudge us in the right direction and make sure we don't stray from that path. So I'll finish up tonight by saying good night to you all. Thanks for listening. Hopefully I'll be back next week. And again, this is for you, George and Paul. See you later, chaps.
You're listening to Critical Mass Radio. Now it's our turn.